for maybe someone out there that, maybe this client has told somebody, hey, you're the worst person that I've ever dealt business with. How can somebody overcome that?
Personally, I believe that the clients that are meant for you, you will find them. They will find you. And I think even in that experience for me and for my business, it was meant for me to learn from that. Don't let it define you because they didn't see your value. See, sometimes people don't see the value that you bring to the table. They just want what they want. And so I know that when I work with clients, I want it to be collaboration. I want it to be partnership. I don't want it to be one-sided. You know what I'm saying? And whenever it starts being one-sided, that's kind of where the red flags pop up.
Excited to announce that our very own podcasting platform, Zencaster, has become a new sponsor of the show. Zencaster is an all-in-one podcast production suite that gives you studio quality audio and video without needing all the technical know-how. Check out the podcast discount link in the show notes to find out why we love using Zen for the podcast. Welcome to another great episode of the 24-Hour Boss podcast. This is Brian Hill, and today our guest is Stephanie Wyatt. She is the founder and owner of Smychele Consulting, which is a virtual assistance company providing administrative support to entrepreneurs and small businesses. This is actually her website right here, which is a very nice website. But virtual assistance companies are on the rise and are a huge help to entrepreneurs who are strapped for time. I brought Stephanie on the show to talk about her business and journey as a virtual assistant. Plus, let's see how she answers my surprise questions. And before we get into today's show, if you're enjoying our podcast episodes, I'm going to ask you to smash that like button. Not only that, but subscribe to our channel. We appreciate it and thank you in advance. You ready to dive into it? Let's talk about it. We're going to talk with her today and just see what all is going on in her world. So, Stephanie, welcome to the 24-Hour Boss podcast. How you doing today?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I appreciate you being on, and we're gonna find out more about this Smychele Consulting. All right. So for our listeners, Stephanie, I got your business name in my mind for your business. So or for our audience, I want to I guess just let's find out an interesting fact about you that maybe some of our audience don't know, so that you can tell them more about you.
Okay, so not only am I a business owner and entrepreneur, um, I'm a musician, also a vocalist, but that all really started when I was about 6 years old. I come from a very musical family. Most of us are singers, but it wasn't until I went to see the Dallas Symphony Orchestra at a field trip in the kindergarten that I really discovered orchestral music. I remember sitting in the Meyerson Symphony Center in Dallas and just being so compelled to and just amazed by the violin section. And
Hmm.
so I was creative even at that young age. I went home. I remember taking like a ton of notebook paper, gluing them together, like to thicken it with the Elmer's glue. And then I drew the violin. And when it dried, I cut it out with some scissors. And then I took the cardboard from a wire hanger, and that was my bow. And that's
Wow.
how I actually introduced my interest to my mother. And she was looking at me one day as she was cooking dinner. And I'm like, she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm playing my violin for you." And that's what sparked it, is actually going to see the deer. So I did not start playing until the first grade. But it actually from there launched my musical studies for the next 10 years in public school. So that's just some things that, people may not know.
Wow. Okay. Business owner and a musician. So you were serious. You were serious about this at 6.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay. And you've been playing for how long?
Well, without telling my age, which I don't care, but
Yeah, you don't have to
I
tell your age,
studied.
but you can
Yeah,
just.
I studied. So yeah, oh my gosh, it's been a long time. I'm thinking about this.
Hmm.
So from first grade, and then I
That's a long time.
actually,
Yeah.
yeah, I left public school in the 11th grade. I studied, and I actually studied privately. I ended up getting a fellowship with the Dallas Symphony Orchestra by middle school. So that was just like my life, other than school, academics, church. I still play for myself, but I really now am more interested in merging worship and classical music. That's
Okay.
kind of where I'm at now. But
Oh,
yeah, I've been playing for a long time.
you have any like I don't know, maybe CDs or some that you've made yourself that
I don't like. I
you
need
know?
to start recording. I mean, I
Yeah.
have like a clip of something I played at church a few years ago
I
for
think
the
I
youth.
remember that. I think when you played a few years at church. Yeah, I would love to hear that. I mean, I love the DSO too. That's like, man, that is awesome. All those musicians and they're so talented. So that would yes, that would be great. But I think that's something that maybe you should do. Is yeah, try to merge that classical and gospel music.
Worship.
That
Yes,
yeah.
it's something that is done sometimes in certain areas, but
Hmm.
I think there could actually be a greater representation of it.
Yes.
And so that's just my journey growing up. I love school, but I also was, in music very heavily.
Okay. Well, hey, everybody out there that's looking for lessons or need somebody to teach violin, go see Miss Stephanie. She can probably help you out. But no, she's a great musician, definitely. And hey, that's awesome. That is definitely a interesting fact about you that I'm sure a lot of people didn't know, but I found out some information myself. All right. So digging on to let's find out more about this virtual assistant. So I guess tell me, I guess first off, how's the virtual assistant world going for you? Like what's going on right now presently for you?
It is so interesting. It's a new journey for me, but it's something that I actually started years ago without realizing it.
Mm,
I remember years ago someone asked me to do start design a website for their church actually, and I was very young, and they just kind of knew me outside of church, and they're like, I think you can do this. And actually I started learning, self-teaching myself how to do websites. And then it came to the point where I did some another website for somebody else, and I didn't realize I was being a freelancer. Like, I
hmm
just didn't realize that. I was very young. And um that fast forward, my mom told me years ago, she was like, you could do desktop publishing. That's what the name of all this stuff was back then.
hmm
And I'm like, oh, okay. I kind of like didn't think about it. But I love doing admin. I'm
hmm
into design, graphic design. And then when I get into corporate America, some of the work history that I have is definitely administrative work, which I'm still to this day in administrative work. And it just kind of came full circle last year when I saw an ad on Facebook, and it talked about being a virtual assistant. So I don't really click a lot of ads, but it drew my attention. I'm like, what is that?
hmm
And I'm looking at this, and there's like a whole network of people specifically on like Facebook that are virtual assistants, and it's totally a journey that you can customize. It's totally something you can make your own. You know, there are VAs that we call them that only do graphic design, or there are VAs that only do website building, or there are VAs that only do marketing. It is so customizable based on your skill set. And so I think that's what drew me in just from one ad, but it was something I had already started getting into. And so I believe God allowed me to see that ad to direct me and say, okay, like, yes, you can do this now. So yeah.
Hmm. Okay. So you saw an ad for it, and you were already doing, like I said, yeah, that is an old term, the desktop publishing. Um, and so that drew you in to, I guess, get started with being a virtual assistant. So, like, when did it, I guess, change for you to actually like turn this into a business?
So that night when I saw the ad, and this was early 2021, um, it helped me clarify what I have already started doing. Because because a few years prior to last year, I had already started freelancing for a couple of friends who are
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs. And I'm like, oh, hey, I need to pay you to like proof and edit this document, or I need you to help me do this, or I need you to help me do this, And so when I saw this ad from a lady who started in her home trying to get out of debt, and now she's turned her whole virtual assistant business into like a huge company where she coaches people how to do it. I
Wow.
was blown away. I'm like, so people are actually making money
Mm-hmm.
teaching people how to do what they started doing in their home. And so I have this plan. I'm very much into goal setting, and like I know what I want to do for the next 5 years and all this. So I I know like I want to long term work remote, and I want to work for myself. It's something about being in my own space. I don't knock corporate America. Like I can function in the office, but I just like I want to work for myself. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I saw her ad and I saw how she was doing it, it drew me in. Like, and then I realized I'm already kind of doing this stuff on the side. So I hope that answers your question.
Oh yeah, no, it is true, and I think a lot of people in business they find themselves overwhelmed, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of tasks to be done, which I think for many of us when we get started in business, we don't realize how much needs to be done. I mean, you say, "Oh yeah, I want to start a business," and then it's like, "Oh well, I got to keep up with the finances. I got to keep up with the accounting. I got to keep up with all the supplies that I need, or I gotta email this customer back." So I think that's where you, as the VA or the virtual assistant, definitely can help businesses and help them flourish. And I heard someone say that I think it's true. They said whatever somebody doesn't want to do, they'll pay somebody else to do
That
it.
is true.
And I
Yes.
think virtual assistant is something great, and I think you can flourish, and you got to start somewhere. So I think you're right in that vein to blossom or grow your business where you need it to grow. All right, so tell, I guess, for our audience who maybe still are curious about virtual assistants and VAs, how does virtual administration, how does it help businesses be more efficient?
Well, first of all, from a financial standpoint, most businesses, whether they're solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small business, when they hire a virtual assistant, that's going to help them like with one less employee that they would have to hire,
Hmm.
because most virtual assistants are, like I said, they're freelancers, they're contractors. So this is a contract agreement. They would, definitely not have to pay uh, employee taxes on this person because it would be contract
Hmm.
1099 work. So that's number one. Number two, the VA would help that business owner be more efficient. Just it just depends on what they're hiring them for. If they need someone to run their customer service, to run their marketing, it helps them not do all the nitty gritty admin work themselves, because like you said, entrepreneurship and starting a business can be overwhelming at first because there's just so many things you have to do, and there's so many things you have to keep track of. And so when you hire a virtual assistant specifically for what you need them to do, um, it can take that load off and can help you stay on track, help you stay organized. So like I said, VAs, they range from all type of specialties, and when you find that one for that specific need that you have, that's where your that load will be lifted a little bit from your shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I think, yes, I think that definitely can help people in business because it can handle those tasks, or sometimes they may say little tasks that they're not able to get to. That's where a virtual assistant can definitely be beneficial to a business. So for those listening, some of those little menial tasks that maybe you can't get to, like emailing or, even calling customers. I think I've seen that where people, I know that's not the thing now where people don't call, or you don't reach, but some virtual assistants will actually call customers or call people for you. So That's where VAs or someone like Miss Stephanie can help your business out in regard to handling those tasks. All right, so Miss Stephanie, I know you you talked about how you got in it. So why are you so, and you, I guess you kind of touched on this, but why are you so passionate about providing virtual administrative services to businesses? Why are you so passionate about that? Where does that come from?
I think it comes from the network of entrepreneurs that I actually am connected with. So, a few years ago, everything was kind of shifting for me in my life, and I connected with a classmate from high school who, we studied same school, music and all that, but he's an entrepreneur. And I started really learning about marketing, and
Hmm.
then just being like around what he does and all of that, meeting other entrepreneurs through him, I realized that they need support. And then I started looking at all the skill set that I had just from career, like normal jobs. And then I realized like I could help them, especially when they're calling me and saying, "Hey, like I pay you to do this. Like I'll pay you to do this, or
Yeah.
can you proof this book, or can you proof this document," and all these types of things. And so I started really getting into entrepreneurship. I started seeing a lot of family and friends and church friends who are just stepping into that zone, and I'm like, this is exciting to see people take something that they love to do and make it their own. And I think that's one thing that's so rewarding for me, is to see people. It's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5, but when you want to do something for you and you actually
Hmm.
step out and do it, I'm all here for it.
Yeah.
So it's just great to see what people are doing in this day and time, to start and launch businesses.
Yeah, that's awesome. And again, like we said, who would I remember hearing about virtual assistants some years ago, and I was like, what is a virtual assistant? But I didn't really understand it. But now today, of course, with everything being so fast, but yeah, it is. I mean, virtual assistants are needed, and I know that you can definitely help some businesses out there uh, who are looking for some assistance, and I think that's where people really got to look at and see that a virtual assistant can really help somebody out, and that's a great thing. And so I guess just to kind of caveat, as far as when you started being a virtual assistant, so you got this idea, now you want to turn it into a business. So was there any time that you felt like, I don't know if I can do this, or who's gonna listen to Stephanie, or who's gonna allow Stephanie to be a virtual assistant? Who's gonna want me to be a virtual assistant? Did you have any of those moments where maybe you had some fear, or maybe even somebody even told you, said, "Oh, I don't know if that's a good idea." Did you have any of that?
um I have a pretty good support, and I say pretty good. I have a good support system
Hmm.
around me, especially those who own businesses that were like, "Hey, yeah, like this is great. We people need this." But then at the same time, I do have those negative voices that can come from other people around me
Hmm.
that are just generally negative. Period. Like, "Oh, you can't make that much money." I had someone tell me that recently, and I'm like,
Really?
just don't know what I do, right? Like you
Yeah,
don't get it.
exactly.
And I'm just it took several days for me to detox from that,
Mm,
what they said, because I'm thinking you have no idea. So for the most part, I do have a good support system. I'm the type of person, like once I set my mind to do something, I don't feel like I can't do it. I'm the type that I have to figure out, okay, how can I do it? It's
mm.
not that I can't do it. What steps do I need to take? And sometimes that takes me time to process.
I like that. I think we all have faced that, where get those negative voices out there, and it seems like it never fails that whenever you try to start something or do something, you get that opposition. But that's good that you detoxed from that. I like that. You detoxed from it and you kept moving, because
Right.
at the end of the day, it's gonna be you that allows your journey to go where it goes. And as long as you got that passion like you have, I think you definitely shine and keep shining. So,
Yes.
oh yes, oh yes. And along with that, so have you? Other than that, what what is maybe one of the worst moments you faced on this journey, where things maybe didn't go as planned? Did you have you have any of those?
I have recently my first client outside of my personal network, because right now my clients are like people I actually have known for a long time. But my first client outside of that, um, it was going great at first, but I realized that they wanted more value, but they didn't want to pay. And
Mm,
so I felt something shift in that working relationship to the point where I just knew, like, okay, this has got to it's gonna end. And so they severed the working relationship, and it discouraged me.
mm,
It didn't make me want to stop what I was doing in my business, but I had to really think about it. And I'm like, okay, did I do anything? But I realized what was happening before it was publicly said. But that's the thing about VA work. Usually you're getting paid by the hour, or you're on a project rate. And when they were just, cramming more and more work into the same block of time, I knew it wasn't gonna pan out. So that was really, it was tough at first to see it coming to that. But then I realized, okay, something greater is going to come. Don't worry about it. I learned a lot from that working relationship with this client, and I just moved on, And that's the thing, when you're working with clients, you have to know how to stay professional, how to work within the relationship and not take everything on your sleeve, so to speak, but know what your end goal is and keep going.
mm. Okay, I like that. So, are you saying, which, and that sounds like that was a hard time. So, are you saying that, or I'll ask it this way: do you think, as far as a lot of us in business, that we can expect some of those like setback, like that challenge that you faced? Like, is that something we can expect? That we'll face some harsh criticism. And I think for you, you said it was hard for you to overcome that. I would be curious to know, like, how long did it take for you to kind of get over that, and what did you do to, I guess, encourage yourself and motivate yourself? Because obviously it wasn't you. They were trying to put more work into what you wanted them to do. So what would you, I guess, what would you advise for maybe someone out there that, maybe this client has told somebody, hey, you're the worst person that I've ever dealt business with. How can somebody overcome that?
Um, Personally, I believe that the clients that are meant for you, you will find them. They will find you. And I think even in that experience for me and for my business, it was meant for me to learn from that.
Mm,
And I'd say anytime you go through things that are negative toward you or your business, try to learn something from it. Don't let it break you to the point that it stops you from being who you need to be for your existing and your current and your future clients. Don't let it define you because they didn't see your value. See, sometimes people don't see the value that you bring to the
mm,
table. They just want what they want. And so I know that when I work with clients, I want it to be collaboration. I want it to be partnership. I don't want it to be one sided. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
And whenever it starts being one sided, that's kind of where the red flags pop up.
mm. Man, we could probably do a whole nother episode off of that. What you just said, people don't see the value that you bring. Wow, that is,
I'm telling you, they don't. Some people don't. Some
yeah.
people do. I have great people God has blessed me to have in my life. They see it. I have other VAs that I'm connected with. We're actually accountability partners, in a course that I invested in for my business, and I mean they get it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's good to have that support system, because if you don't have it and you're launching out into areas that you've never been in, it's scary.
Mm, okay, yeah, and that was when you said that, that was going to be a question I had for you. So having a support system, which it sounds like you have, how valuable? I guess if maybe you can elaborate on how valuable is that to have that support system, because like you had the client that was negative, but you got a support system of VAs that speak your language. So how important is that for people to have that support system, like you just stated?
It's very important. I mean, it doesn't matter what type of business you're in. I know some people's businesses are very, very technical. Even from where I'm from, people, what is a VA? Like, people ask, what is that? What do you do? Because they don't hear it. But if I go pop into my Facebook group, I've got like thousands of people that are VAs, So to have those people that are in your corner, I think is so important. When you're having a bad moment and you feel like, okay, what just happened? I'm frustrated. I need to talk it through. Like, I need business advice, or I need some type of mentorship. You have your people, your corner that's behind you saying, look, this is what you need to consider, or have you thought about it like this? Those people are very important.
Hmm.
And I have those people that I talk to. I've even had a business coach for a while when I started, through score.org, which is great. I just have to say that.
Oh yes.
And so it's very helpful. People that know what you're doing, they know where you're trying to go, and when you can just get all those ideas out of your head and you can talk about it and not just think about it, it changes everything.
Mm, I like that, and that's great. I'm glad you touched on that because I think we all could use that. You face a lot of negatives, but as you stated, I guess I'll just kind of go back. You had a negative moment. So for those listening, you can expect that. Well, I won't say expected, but sometimes it happens. I'll say where you get a client that may not be pleased with your service, or maybe you can get a negative review. You can expect those type of things, but like Miss Stephanie said, Sister Stephanie said, sometimes people don't value don't. Sometimes people don't see the value that you bring, and so that's something that we have to understand as business owners, that we are providing services, but at the same time, everybody won't understand that. And then lastly, what you said, you need that support system to kind of counter some of those negative things out there, where you got people that can reel you back in, just saying, hey, don't worry about that. Those things happen. Like you said, even from that setback that you had with that client, you learned a whole lot. And actually, Stephanie, I'll tell you, like, I mean, that's a common conversation that we have on these podcasts, or that I have on this podcast, where people have told me that same thing, what you just said, how that they had a negative experience, but they learned so much from that negative experience. So sometimes, like you said, uh, negative experiences are there to help us learn and to figure out ways to move ahead. And so that is awesome for you. And those are some great nuggets that you sharing with us. All right. A next question I have for you is no, I asked that. Oh yes, that's what I wanted to ask. In regards to uh how how you treat people, because I know you are a woman of faith. So how does that play a role in how you provide your services to people, and just how you consider each client?
That's a great question. So, being that I am a woman of faith, I believe in God, I believe in trusting in God. I believe that when I sit down with each client or even a potential client, and I just hear their story, hear what they're trying to do, um, not only does it pull me in from, not from just a VA standpoint, but as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of time people have so much on them. And when you listen to them and you hear what they're trying to do, it gives me, of course, a better idea of how I can serve them in their business. But just as a person, they sometimes people just need to talk. They just
Mm-hmm.
need to sit down and say, "Look, this is what I got going on." Even in a business consultation that they may have with me, I hear the whole picture. And so what I do is I pray for my clients. I don't
Mm,
just say, "Okay, yeah, I can do like all this for your business." I pray for them because it's one thing when you're doing a business, but when you're doing it and you have like 10 other things you're going through or dealing with, I use that as a opportunity to witness and to just share Christ's love that's within
mm,
my heart with somebody else. So that's important to me because it's a lot going on around us in the world, and so sometimes people just want to talk. It's not that they're trying to just unpack so much on you, but it's helpful to hear everything sometimes that they're going through, because a lot of time that affects their business, that affects how they are able to conduct and do their business. And so when you kind of get to know them as a person, it helps you understand what needs to be done so that I can support them.
mm. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, as people, we all dealing with things, and of course, 2020 changed a whole lot for a lot of us, and you know, sometimes people do get overwhelmed, and they need some help, they need some support, they need advice. That's great. And That's another reason why I love to bring people on, of course, people of faith, because that needs to be shared with the world. How that, like you said, Christ's love, and who knows how just you sharing that, praying for your clients, how that may affect them. We don't know, but that's a good way, definitely, to let your light shine. Have you had any of your clients to maybe give you some feedback saying, "Hey, I do appreciate you praying for me," or you know, or have you had any positive experience like that from you doing
Yes,
that?
I have a client who during the pandemic, I was thinking about this last night. I mean, persevered a cancer battle
Hmm.
um, right in the midst of her opening her first brick and mortar location. And so I was assisting with that process, getting things done as she was getting ready to launch and open her location. And then she got diagnosed with cancer.
Hmm.
And so that was just something, to see her have to go through that. Um, and she just persevered. And sometimes all it takes is texting your. I mean, I let God lead me. Like if I think about somebody, let me text them, "Hey, I'm praying for you," or "Here's a scripture to encourage you." Like that goes a long way. People might not tell you, but I know people have done that for me, so I know it goes a long way.
Yes.
And so to help her through that journey, going through that health crisis, and then her coming out of it, and to see that she never stopped in her business, she never gave up. And I just thought about the early days of like how we would work together when she was getting her location started and open, and then like her going through that journey with the cancer and coming out of it, and she's thriving, her business is still going, it never really stopped. And that's just remarkable to me. So to see those success stories, and just to know that God allowed me to be a piece of that, a part of just what
Right.
happened, is great.
Wow, that's a great story. Just you sharing and caring. And actually, I I interviewed a brother last week, and that's kind of what we were talking about. How that, just helping people. Sometimes uh, it may not be about money. Just like you said, just you even texting that person, or just you, just following up with them. You just never know how that can change somebody's life. But not only that, it could lead to a long lasting business relationship. So we all are people on this journey, and I think God put us down here to not only let our light shine, but just to share that light and help others as you are doing. And I commend you for that, because people see that you do virtual assistant or be a VA, but they don't know that, oh, you know what? Stephanie also prays for all of her clients. So that's something that's wonderful. So to me, that's actually going above and beyond, that she's actually praying for her clients. So That is awesome. Kudos to you. So let me ask you, in regards to you being this virtual assistant, and you got this business. So were there any moments where, or I think I asked you that at the start, where like say this was a challenge for you, or for you getting out of your comfort zone, like maybe I don't know. You just felt like I don't know if I can do this or what. Is there any moments like that where being a virtual assistant really challenged you getting out your comfort zone? Because when we start businesses, it's like you got to start to market yourself. You got to put yourself out there. I don't like video per se. I don't like pictures. I don't like to put myself out there. And those are things that we got to fight internally. So how was that experience for you as far as trying to get out your comfort zone and putting yourself out there as a VA?
It was a challenge. It still is to a certain degree, simply because I'm the same way. I can I'm good with words. Like I can write posts, words, or whatever. But it's something about recording myself on video. I don't know what it is. I mean, I can sing in the choir at church and it goes all over YouTube and I'm not bothered. But it's something
Mm,
about recording myself.
yes.
That's where I'm at. So for me, I'm challenging myself to actually soon start a YouTube channel to accompany my business because that's going to really help pull me out of that.
Yes. Do it,
Uh,
Stephanie. Do it. But yes, no, no, I think that's great. And I deal with those same things, trying to put yourself out there as far as video, and but it's like it's kind of like you have to do it, and there's ways to do it, and not be, I guess, so overwhelmed with it, but I think and they'll I think you probably already know it, but like they say, video is like what's really catchy, and that's what really draws people. Video. So,
right.
and actually, that's what we're doing here now. We're doing video. So, but I think that's great. That and I say yes, go ahead and start that YouTube channel because who knows who it's going to help. I'm pretty sure there's somebody that's starting out as a virtual assistant, and they're trying to figure out I don't know where to start, but you'll be able to help them. So I say keep going and don't stop, Miss Stephanie. You got to keep going.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Do you like surprises?
It depends.
Okay. Well, I have some surprise questions for you.
Okay.
And of course, they're surprises, so you don't know what I'm going to ask. All right. So, my first question that I have for you, um, which goes better on an ice cream cone, chocolate or vanilla ice cream?
Vanilla.
Okay, vanilla. Why do you say vanilla? Why?
Because I can't have chocolate.
Okay. Well, hey,
Hey,
that, that that answers that question. You can't have that. You wait. You can't have no chocolate. What about like
Nah,
candy?
it's caffeine that I can't have. So
Oh, okay. Do
it's
you drink?
just,
You don't drink
yeah.
coffee either?
Unfortunately, no, not anymore.
Wow. Okay. I don't. I
Yeah.
don't drink coffee, but I can eat chocolate. I love some chocolate.
Okay.
But okay. All right. So you say vanilla. All right. Okay. My next surprise question. So if you could write a book, Miss Stephanie, about yourself or your life, what would that title be?
Okay. So actually, I am writing a book. So I
Awesome.
can't tell you the title. So,
Okay. No problem.
but I am writing a book. So there's an easy plug on that. So yeah, that'll
Okay.
it'll
Okay.
be
That's
coming
fair. That's fair.
eventually.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll have to bring you back on when you publish
Okay.
the book, and then we can find out more about the book title.
Exactly.
We'll get the answer to that question, y'all, when she publishes the book.
Right.
All right. My next surprise question. So, um, if you could offer any advice to your younger self, what would that advice be?
Okay. That's a good one. I have so many thoughts running through my head right now. I think it would just be to stay true to yourself.
Mm,
Um, don't allow people to pull you away from where you know you need to be.
mm. Okay, I love that. That's some great words, great advice too. Be true to yourself and don't allow others to pull you in that wrong direction. Awesome, wonderful. All right, last surprise question: Team iPhone or Team Samsung?
Samsung all the way.
All right, Samsung. Okay, so all you iPhone heads, Stephanie said Samsung. So you have any beef or any problems, you got to talk with her. She said it. All right, so where we gonna leave that? All right,
Right.
wonderful. Okay, can you share maybe an important lesson you learned on your journey that you can share with our audience, or important advice that has helped you continue your success?
Um, my advice would be for anybody starting a business, um, get in the habit of taking time to plan, taking time to sit down, get quiet, and just let your thoughts flow. I do that quite often because that helps me process what I really want to do. Because I have God just gives me ideas all the time, and if I don't write them down, they'll get all jumbled up with whatever I'm doing on a day to day basis. So I would say become a planner, and even if you don't know how to do that, find somebody that you can, be accountable with and that can help you in those areas where you're lacking. Because as a business owner, you have to think about so many different things on a regular basis. You're working over here on this, you're doing this, but simply put, plan, strategize, and then allow God to help you execute your plan.
Wow, man, that's a whole nother segment right there. Plan, strategize, and let God help you execute your plan. I love that. You know, I think the scripture tells us, right? Write the vision, make it plain. So those are some well said words, great advice um, that you have shared. Wow, that is awesome. I appreciate that, and I'm sure our audience, those listening, will appreciate that too. Um, I guess another question I kind of thought about as you were talking there is just as far as helping people, like there may be somebody out there that's trying to be a virtual assistant. Um, what advice would you give someone that say they're just starting out, they don't know where to start? Maybe you can give somebody some pointers on where they can get started and trying to be a virtual assistant.
That's a great question. So I would say start where you are, because a lot of times people they look at what other people are doing and they're like, "Well, I want to do that." Stop and assess what skills you already have.
Mm,
And most virtual assistants they start right there. Some people are great with design graphics, or some people are great with proofreading and editing. Some people they're like a whiz with data entry, and spreadsheets. So it's all about assessing what skills you already have, and then you can figure out what skills you want to build upon, so when you start your business you'll know what you want to offer your clients.
mm. Okay, man, that's some great advice. And as far as like when you started with your clients, did you see that? I guess as far as your clients, you started with like the network that's already around you. Is that how you?
Right. And that's another great point. I know people, like I have family that are entrepreneurs, classmates, church member, like it's so many people stepping into that zone right now. And so I started there. And for me, it just was people that I know well, and they just started calling me. And so when I started my business officially, I technically already had potential and clients, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because I was already part time working for these people. It just catapulted from, seeing the Facebook ad about this woman's coaching program and going from there. So, yes, when you start where you are, don't try to go too fast. Learn what you do well and stay in that lane. You don't have to offer 10 different services. You can say, okay, I want to be a brand strategist and do that, or I want to be a graphic designer and do that. It's so many avenues you can go with virtual assistant. It's really endless, the possibilities.
Wow. Man, that's a mouthful right there. I love that last point you made, or one of those last points you said. Don't try to worry about doing 10 different services. And I think some people can, or I've heard it, we start trying to compare ourselves to others. Maybe somebody that's got 20 years experience and they're offering a gazillion services and you're trying to get started. You're like, well, I can't do that. Well, like Miss Stephanie just said, you don't have to worry about starting out with 10. Just start out with the one or two that you're good at. Like you said, which was great advice. What skills do you already have? And just start from there. Man, that is some awesome, excellent advice. I appreciate you being on here, Miss Stephanie. This has been
Thank
a
you.
awesome experience. I do want to say I definitely would love to hear more about your business down the road as it begins to grow, and we'll try to have you back on. But I guess last, how can people connect with you? Maybe somebody's looking for a virtual assistant. So how can people connect with you? Maybe you can share some of your links and some of your information, socials, and all of that.
Absolutely. So my website is smycheleconsulting.com, and that's SMYCHELE consulting.com. That's also my IG handle, S Michelle Consulting, and I'm also on Facebook at S Michelle Consulting.
Awesome. Excellent. All right, people. So if you're looking for a virtual assistant, I say look up Miss Michelle, S. Michelle Consulting, and she can definitely help you out. Miss Michelle, I appreciate you being on today. This has been a joy, a true pleasure. I've learned so much from you and also about virtual assistants and just about your journey. So we appreciate you being on today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Stephanie Wyatt of S. Michelle Consulting.